Today we'll be talking about our life skills application program and training you on how to implement it. And this is going to be through the Drapper Career and Day Services program. First, let me introduce ourselves. We have Taylor Norris, who works in an outpatient hospital with patients of all diagnoses, and she currently resides in Indianapolis, Indiana. Next, we have Rakaya Banks, who currently lives in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and works as a registered behavior technician. Next, we have Selvi Rakopowski, who is working as a registered behavior technician and lives in Connecticut. Lastly, we have myself, Emily Capshaw, who is working as a registered behavior technician and lives in Daytona Beach, Florida. We look forward to sharing with you our findings in these next slides and teaching you how to implement our program. First, I will give you a little bit of a backstory on the Drapper Career and Day program. It is a program for adults with significant disabilities. On the team, there are occupational therapists, job and life coaches, teachers, speech therapists, assistants, BCBAs, RBTs, and a psychologist. In the past, the Day program has struggled maintaining motivation for their life skills acquisition and looks for ways to improve upon this and welcome more members into the class. So what are life skills and why do we need to teach them? Life skills can be defined as abilities and techniques necessary to function independently in society. This can include anything from doing everyday activities such as folding clothes, putting dishes away, making their own meal. It can also include problem solving, decision making, time management, and much more. These skills are necessary in order to succeed independently and will also benefit those who are looking to get a job, go to school, and many other activities. The visual shown on your screen discusses the different types of life skills. First, it talks about effective communication, interpersonal skills, decision making, problem solving, creative and critical thinking, self-awareness and empathy, emotional intelligence, time management, resilience, and self-management. So as you can see, there are many different types of life skills that these clients can learn through this application. Our program plans to teach all of these skills necessary to function independently, as well as personalize it for each student so that they are learning the skills they will benefit from and become more motivated to complete these as well. So what are the materials that you'll need? You'll need an iPad, a pre-downloaded life skills application, and a visual aid. It's that simple. Those three materials are all you will need. You will need to include an iPad, so these will be donated from those in the community, or they can be purchased individually. And on the iPad will be a pre-downloaded life skills application. If the iPad was purchased or you already own one you would like to use, one of the teachers at the Day program will be happy to assist in downloading the application for you. Next, you will need a visual aid that discusses how to use the app as well as discusses some ABA terminology. So next, we'll go into what that visual would look like. So this is our visual. I'm going to go through it with you so as you were learning. So first, we're going to talk about what you would need. So to implement life skills activities here is what you will need. You would need the iPad, the life skills application pre-downloaded, and the visual aid as we discussed before. So how does it work? The life skills applications will be pre-downloaded onto the iPad of the student who is currently enrolled in the Drapper Career and Day Services program. All parents will need to do is refer to the visual aid handout to understand prompting procedures. So there are several different types of prompts in ABA that you can use, but these are the main three that you're going to use with this intervention. So first, we have the verbal prompt. This would be used if the client is distracted or looking away. You may be able to redirect them to the application by saying something like, "Let's get back on task." Next, we would have the gestural prompt. This would be used if the client needs some help on the application or is distracted. An example would be gesturing the client back to the iPad if their attention is elsewhere, or gesturing their hands in the direction it needs to go on the tablet. Last, we have the physical prompt. This will likely be used if the client is needing help. This could be hand over hand guiding the client through the application. So you may be asking yourself, what is the purpose? The purpose of the life skills application is to motivate clients into participating in these applications in order to gain life skills knowledge. This will be through activities, games, and real life learning videos that they can also take with them into the real world. We believe doing life skills on a tablet rather than in person will motivate clients as well as personalize the experience as it pertains to them. So you might be wondering, how does it work? Once the life skills applications are downloaded, students will begin using their programs. These programs will be pre-downloaded for them to fit their needs. Skills can always be added or removed based on need. A program may consist of things such as learning to fold clothes or putting dishes away, as stated before. Once the student completes their training for said program, they will then show it to a staff member to prove they have mastered the program and are able to move on to the next. So the visual on the screen is an example of different things that a student may learn through the life skills application. For example, if a student had a life skills program to complete for putting dishes away, the client would first watch and complete the program through the life skills application on the iPad, and then once completed, will notify a staff member. The staff member will then create this skill in real life and have the student put dishes away independently. If the student is able to complete this without any prompting, then the student has mastered this program and is able to move on to the next. Every so often, the student will be asked to complete the skill again in order to keep up generalization as well as consistency. So here is the ABA terminology that you will need to know. First, we're going to talk about the visual on the screen, which is what is ABA, or Applied Behavioral Analysis. So first, it is measurable. All of your child's goals can be observed and measured. Next, it is socially significant. The why behind all of your child's goals. Why is it important that they learn this skill, and is it important? Next is research. Only research-based training methods are used so your child learns new skills more quickly. Data. ABA is one-on-one, which allows for continual tracking of your child's progress. Next is meaningful change. All of your child's goals are selected to ensure that the skills they learn will make their life better in some way. And next is generalization. Family members are taught strategies to help their children use newly learned skills at home and in the community. So next, we're going to discuss the terminology that you will need to know. First, you will need to understand prompting. Prompting is defined as providing assistance or cues to encourage the use of a specific skill. As stated in the visual aid, the three types of prompts that will likely be used are verbal, gestural, and physical prompting. Verbal prompting would be any verbal assistance given that helps toddlers or any adult client, any student, use target skills correctly, such as spoken words, signs, or statements. Gestural prompting would be a point, hand gesture, or head nod to encourage participation, normally prompted by a natural cue. Physical prompting would be physically guiding or touching the toddler, student, adult, whoever you are working with to help him or her use the target behavior or skill. So next, I'm going to show a video that shows the different types of prompting in ABA and how to implement them.
Glad Force Flex Max Strength trash bags are 25% more.
Hi everyone. So today we're going to be talking about prompting levels and the hierarchy. So if you are new to ABA or if you're just brushing up on your ABA knowledge, first we're going to go over what a prompt is. A prompt is anything following the SD or the discriminative stimulus that you add to the teaching environment to help the client respond correctly. Learning a new skill requires frequent reinforcement. Reinforcement is only given for correct responses, so sometimes you need to help the client respond correctly in order for them to access that reinforcement. Now, there are different levels of prompt intrusiveness, which are shown here. We're going to be talking about these prompt levels in the following slides and giving specific examples on how they can be utilized during your session. So first on our list is independent, which actually isn't a prompt at all. Scoring a trial as independent would mean that there was no prompting necessary. The SD was administered and the client responded correctly with a single directive. Here is an example of an independent trial.
Show me cap. Good job!
Next, we're going to talk about having a symbol or visual as a prompt. This can present itself as a picture, symbol, or words utilized to help a client respond correctly. Now, we won't always use this type of prompt when performing least to most prompting with clients, so ask your BCBA if this type of prompting should be used with your client's program. Here is an example of an RBT using a visual prompt.
Show me banana. Good job, terrific!
Next is verbal prompting. This would be saying something after the SD to help the client respond correctly. Here's an example of a verbal prompt.
Show me cap. That's a wagon. Show me cap. Good job! Yay!
Next is gestural prompting. Gestural prompting is any gesture following the SD to help a client respond correctly. This could look like pointing to the correct object or moving your eyes to look at the correct answer. It's any cue for the client to respond correctly. Here's an example of gestural prompting.
Show me the apple. Awesome job showing me the apple.
Now we're going to talk about model prompting. So this is demonstrating the desired behavior after the SD to help the client respond correctly. Here's an example of model prompting.
Draw circle. Draw circle. Good job!
Finally, we have our physical prompt. Now there are different types of physical prompts. There's full physical and partial physical. But physical prompting is touching the client to help them demonstrate the target behavior. Here is an example of a partial physical prompt.
Show me banana. Good job, terrific, amazing.
After going over these prompt levels, it is important to remember to always deliver the least to most intrusive prompt level when working with clients. It's also important to note that different categories of prompt are used for different targets. If your client is working on a coex, you can't physically prompt their mouth into the correct shape. If your client can't read a text, a written visual prompt will not help your client succeed. You should use the category of prompt that lends itself to completing the task. Here's an example of utilizing least to most prompting.
Throw away trash. Jill, throw away trash. Throw away trash. Throw away trash like this. Throw away trash with me.
If you notice, we did not use a visual prompt because it was not necessary for this type of task demand. Here's a condensed version of everything that we talked about today. Hopefully this video was able to explain prompting levels and some situations in which they could be utilized.
Grammarly Go is a product that offers
So hopefully that video gave you some good insight on prompting and what it is. I'm going to go into some more examples of prompting so that you can really get the hang of it. So an example of verbal prompting would be observing a student who is distracted or paused on one of the programs. So this is going to be unique to our program and how to use these prompts specifically with the life skills application. So you may say, click the play button, or let's continue the program to get them to begin again. An example of a gestural prompt would be a student not understanding where to put the dish away. You could then point to where it needs to go in order to guide them in the right direction. And an example of physical prompting would be telling the student to hit the play button, then taking their hand and pointing it towards the play button so they push it. So as seen in the video, there are different types of physical prompting. So the example that I provided would be a hand over hand. You may not always have to do a hand over hand prompt depending on what the student is needing help with. You may also need to use modeling, which is where you would model the behavior before having the student do it. So for example, if the student has not yet mastered putting dishes away, you may show them how to do it and then ask them to do it directly after. Some students may need more prompts than others, and those that do need prompts, teachers will begin to fade as they get more comfortable with the applications. So fading is removing the prompts as students begin to get more comfortable with the application and the skills that they are learning. So what is the goal or purpose? The goal of the life skills application is to provide users with learning opportunities to learn life skills in order to translate them into their natural environment. This will help them in the future to be able to function independently and get jobs or homes of their own. Our hope is that the application will be motivating to students to complete the programs within them efficiently and effectively. Teachers will be available on site to help in whatever ways that they can. So we're hoping that this application will provide more motivation to these students and help personalize the skills in a way that is unique to them so that the skills that they are learning are things that they will actually use in their day-to-day life. So students can set their own goals based on their wants and needs as they move through the program. And no specific time frame is placed on the students to allow them to be able to participate in the program for as long or as little as they need before mastering the material. We hope this training presentation taught you a little bit more about our life skills application as well as how to use it. We feel as though it is very user-friendly and will help benefit the lives of the students within the program. Thank you.